In this video we are going to talk about the 10 funniest comedian in the world. Tina Fey once said, "You can tell how smart people are by what they laugh at." We went on a quest to find men and women who are world-class at making us laugh and think. Men and women from across the English-speaking world who have pushed the boundaries of comedy with their boldness in writing funny lines. As a result, we've compiled a list of the top 10 stand-up comedians who are sharpening our minds, while making our bellies burst with laughter. Number 10. Jim Gaffigan. Jim Gaffigan's comedy has been dubbed the everyman comedian, because it is mostly observational, clean, and revolves around subjects that are easily relatable, with a strong focus on food and parenting. His career took off after his first appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman in 1999, despite the fact that he started doing stand-up in the late 1980s. Letterman, by the way, is one of Gaffigan's comedy heroes. Since then, Gaffigan has been nominated twice for a Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album, has written 2 books, and is the host of the currently airing autobiographical sitcom The Jim Gaffigan Show. Here's an example of Jim's wit. How about a home birth? What you're saying is that you didn't want to deliver in that germ-infested building full of sick people. Didn't your wife want to give birth in a gown that had been worn by someone who had died the day before? Camping is a family tradition in my family, my wife says. Before we invented the home, it was a tradition in everyone's family. Number 9. Mike Birbiglia. Birbiglia is known for his long-form jokes, which typically consist of a series of stories and anecdotes peppered with humor that build up to a big finish. His content is intensely personal, drawing heavily from his personal life experiences and relationships, and his delivery is frequently deadpan and self-deprecating. Birbiglia found mainstream recognition after the huge success of his one-man show Sleepwalk with Me in 2008, which led to him starring in and directing the autobiographical film of the same name 4 years later. His Netflix comedy special My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, which aired in 2013, received positive reviews from critics and the general public. Here's an example of Mike's wit. "I used to think I was a little unstable before I met each girl I dated. I shouldn't make disparaging remarks about illiterates. It's something I can write." Number 8. Tig Notaro. Tig Notaro has been doing stand-up since the early 2000s, and has appeared on shows such as Comedy Central Presents and The Sarah Silverman Show. However, it was not until 2012 that the world's attention was drawn to her. On August 3rd of that year, Notaro announced on stage at one of her shows that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer and discussed her other personal issues. Fellow comedian Louis C.K. and a slew of other famous comedians present that night dubbed the show one of the best stand-up shows ever. Notaro has not only overcome cancer since then, but he has also risen in strength. She made the audio of the aforementioned show available on iTunes, where it reached No. 1 on Billboard's top comedy albums chart, outselling Kiss. Tig's future looks better than ever, with a Netflix documentary, a new comedy special, and an Amazon TV series on the way this year. Number 7. Chris Rock. Chris Rock's comedy content has always focused on politics, American race relations, and the man-woman relationship, and he is known for his high energy on stage stunts. In satirizing the American political system, and the plight of African Americans in the region, Rock leaves no stone unturned. Chris Rock has influenced a variety of the current crop of comedians, from Aziz Ansari to Kevin Hart, and is one of the most identifiable but audacious entertainers on the planet, having been around for nearly 3 decades, and having 4 highly successful comedy specials under his belt, as well as a slew of successful films and TV shows. Here's an example of Chris's wit. "I'm going to call my daughter Taken if I ever have one. That way, if a boy asks her name, she can reply, 'Hi, I'm Taken.' There would be no wars if women dominated the world. It's just a bunch of countries that aren't communicating with each other." Number 6. Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld's 90s sitcom Seinfeld was so successful that it was for many people their first exposure to stand-up comedy. Seinfeld has created a style of stand-up comedy that is not only ridiculously effective, but darn near impossible to imitate despite its simplicity, by picking up on the most surreal details from day-to-day life, and throwing them under the microcosm of his comedic lens. Jerry's TV appearances have dwindled since the show ended, but he still manages to sell out arenas. The web series Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, an informal interview come hangout with some of the biggest names in comedy, has become perhaps his most fascinating venture of late. Here's an example of Jerry's sense of humor. "Men aren't interested in what's on TV. They are just interested in what else is on television. It's incredible how the volume of news that occurs in the world every day still blends into the newspaper. See, the thing is, there are a lot of disgusting people wandering around who have no idea they're ugly, because no one ever tells them. Number 5. Dave Chappelle. Chappelle has established himself as one of the most defining comedic voices of his generation, having emerged as one of the biggest breakout comedians of the 2000s. Because of the popularity of his Comedy Central sketch show Chappelle's Show, he became a celebrity, and arguably an even bigger star when he walked away from it. Chappelle, who was heavily inspired by Richard Pryor, advocates brutal honesty when it comes to race, sexuality, and American culture. When he returned to stand-up in 2013 after a long absence, it was a massive relief for comedy fans all over the world. Here's an example of Dave's wit. "I'm off to the gym. One of the cornerstones of my comeback strategy is to replace good character with good looks. Someone broke into my house once, and now would be a good time to call the cops, but no. It was impossible to leave the house because it was so lovely. It was a lovely home, but no one would believe I lived there. They'd say things like, 'He's still here.'" Number 4. Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer's growth has been meteoric in the last 3 years. She went from being largely unknown outside of comedy circles to being a legitimate movie star, and social media icon with over 1.7 million Twitter followers. Furthermore, Amy's sketch show Inside Amy Schumer consistently produces content that goes viral online. Amy's raw comedic talent, on the other hand, is at the heart of her success. Her stand-up routine offers a refreshing female viewpoint on past and current relationships, while still having the potential to be dark at times. Trainwreck, directed by Judd Apatow and released this year to rave reviews, was Schumer's first leading film role. Here's a taste of Amy's wit. "My ex-boyfriend was really family-oriented. On weekends, he'd never come on the road with me, because he wanted to spend time with his wife. My whole group of friends is getting married. I suppose I'm just getting to the point that people give up." Number 3. Bill Burr. If the internet meme known as Rage Man had a mouth, it would most likely sound like Bill Burr. Burr was dubbed the undisputed heavyweight champ of rage-fueled satire by Rolling Stone magazine in 2013. Bill is one of the few comedians you can count on to say exactly what he means, when ranting about any subject. His no-holds-barred approach to topics such as feminism, gender equality, and religion often lands him in hot water, but it is precisely this characteristic that distinguishes him in the ever-increasing climate of political correctness. Bill is also known for his weekly podcast, Bill Burr's Monday Morning Podcast, and for playing the role of Patrick Kuby on the TV show Breaking Bad. Bill made a stop in Mumbai on his world tour earlier this year, giving Indian fans a chance to see him live for the first time. Here's a taste of Bill's wit. "If you want to know why society is deteriorating, look at people who are raising children. And look at people who you think will make good parents. That should tell you pretty much everything you need to know. You're a child, and your whole life is fantastic, isn't it fantastic? You had no money, no identification, no cell phone, no nothing, and no house keys. You just dashed out the door and into the woods. You had no fear of something. As an adult, I challenge you to do so. All your IDs, all your credit cards, just leave the house without a cell, turn the corner where you can't see your house, and don't panic." Number 2. Louis C.K. is without a doubt the guy at the top of the comedic ladder in this day and age. Indeed, C.K.'s enormous popularity over the last half-decade or so is a reflection of what we, as a people, want comedy to mean for us, because C.K.'s comedy is, as much about making us look in the mirror and face our insecurities and embarrassments, and then going one step further to create the confidence to laugh at him, and by extension our own flaws. He's the guy who, on a regular basis, does and says things that most of us wish we had the courage to do. Here's a taste of Louis's wit. "The meal isn't over when I'm full, it's over when I despise myself. I'm not a mother or a father. They're going to be grown-ups because I'm raising them to be. I need to equip them with the skills they'll need to get through a difficult life. That's the way I see it." Number 1. Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is almost difficult to avoid if you've been watching American pop culture for the last decade. From starring in box office smashes like Ride Along and Get Hard to hosting award shows, like the MTV Video Music Awards, the BET Awards, and, most recently, the Comedy Central roast of Justin Bieber, the guy is everywhere. Here's an example of Kevin's wit. "I despise people who claim that age is just a number. Age is unquestionably a word. 5 types of fear. Panic, terror, 15 missed calls from mom, wrong password, and we need to talk. What do you think of our list? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want more videos from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.